I can confidently say, for the first time in my 15 years in sports media in Phoenix, that Steve Keim is no longer part of the plot. And now we say goodbye. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. Numbers are going up, man. I appreciate all the support. As you can tell, my promise to you that I've been implementing more reels, more shorts into my day-to-day, more snackable content for you guys. I appreciate all the support, and it's only going to get better from here. So the Cardinals bring in a familiar face who has played on one team since leaving, has been injured twice, but I think maybe he should be worth a look for the Cardinals. We'll talk about that in the third segment. Monti Praise, it's going to be on the heels of my first segment, but just putting things into actual perspective on where the Cardinals were and where they are now on the precipice of, you'd think, sustained relevancy. But this is the segment that a lot of people have been waiting for, that I've been waiting for, and it's happening now. We say goodbye to Steve Keim. Well, Steve Keim hasn't been the GM for 3 years. Why are you holding on to this? Why do I sound like a 1950s gangster right there? Why do you always talk about Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury? Why do you always talk about it? Because they're still relevant. It's been relevant. The Arizona Cardinals haven't been not touched by Steve Keim in some form or fashion since 1999, all the way through 2022. Okay, that's a long time. I didn't know a world where Steve Keim wasn't directly affecting this roster and how it was built. And through 2022, it was a joke. So I thought he should have been fired multiple times. The contract extension that he and Cliff Kingsbury got after the 2021 season, I tweeted out right after the word came down, Kyler Murray should request a trade immediately. And I stick by that. Now, not so much anymore. The things have changed. But what Steve Keim did to this organization was he held it hostage. And Michael Bidwell led him. Steve Keim had very little redeeming qualities as GM of the Arizona Cardinals. And this is not a personal attack. It's never been a personal attack. This is the avatar of the person who was the GM of the Arizona Cardinals. He was one of the worst drafting GMs during his tenure. Bottom 5. Atrocity. Every draft rounds. All the draft rounds. There were a couple. I have quoted saying that Budda Baker was his best draft pick. I know Teron Matthew was later. Budda Baker was his best draft pick because he traded up to the top of the second round in the 2017 draft, leapfrogged Seattle, who were going to take him. He's like, nope, that's our dude. And he got him, and he's been all pro. He's been great. Kudos to Steve Keim for that. I don't give him credit for trading for DeAndre Hopkins because that was an owner-to-owner thing. That was a McNair Bidwell thing. Steve Keim was just a puppet who got the credit. Who knows what happened in Mexico? Not going to touch that. But when you look at where the Cardinals were, even through the BA years, they never had a shot because they were always playing from behind. The roster was never constructed properly. Why? Because you build a roster through a draft. I'm going down memory lane here. One of the things I used to say, OGs, everydayers from a long time ago remember this. The Arizona Cardinals Foundation was kept together through Band-Aids and super glue. Instead of laying new cement, starting fresh, getting rid of everybody, and starting over, they tried to stay afloat. And the reason why they had to go that route was because Steve Keim was statistically one of the worst drafters that we've ever seen from the GM position in the history of sport. Yet he could do whatever the hell he wanted. After week 1 of the 2016 season, coming off the NFC Championship game embarrassment, New England Patriots traveling to State Farm Stadium. It's the nightcap of the doubleheader to kick off Monday Night Football in the 2016 season. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in, run rough shot. Chandler Catanzaro misses a kick, and the Cardinals lose. Bruce Arians was quoted as saying, "They never recovered from that." That's top-down stuff. That's systemic, cancerous stuff. And then in the combine in Indy, there are reports out floating that he and Cliff are spouting that they're taking Kyler Murray number 1 overall, losing any sort of leverage that they would have had if there were to be a trade-up partner for a player not named Kyler Murray. The ineptitude was so ingrained in this organization that it looked normal because of how dysfunctional this organization has been since its inception. And yeah, for 2023 and 2024, Monti Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon et al. Look bad because of the roster not being ready yet and fans pining for it. Well, they went through it last year. Why does it have to be another year of rebuild? Monti Ossenfort doesn't know what he's doing. He got rings because Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. He's never drafted before. No, it's because that's how long it took to clean up Steve Keim's mess. That's why you still talk about it, because he was still part of the plot. He was the reason why that was happening. I told you that I say 2 smart things. If this is your first listen to Locked On Cardinals, this is the bar that I set for myself. 2 smart things a month. Okay? And this one is a retread, but I'm going to utilize because the month is just started, so it gives myself an easy month. Your friend, everybody had one growing up. They used to come over, play with your toys, and then when mom or dad came and picked them up, he would just leave without helping clean up. That was what Steve Keim did with the Arizona Cardinals when Monti Ossenfort got hired. It was a mess. They retained less than 50% of their roster after the 2022 season, and they probably could have gone down to like 35%. So you have to lay bricks, layer by layer, to rebuild the foundation. I know foundation isn't made of brick. And look at where the Cardinals are now. Is it perfect? No. But they are on that Detroit Lions path that I had been discussing 3 years ago. People are like, mirror what the Chiefs are doing. Oh, mirror what the Ravens. No. Look at the laughingstock of the last 25 years. And look at what they're doing now. That's the one. Because that's the closest thing to where the Cardinals have been since their inception. And what we're seeing now has 0 Steve Keim fingerprints on it. So today, June 2nd, 2025, I, Alex Clancy, officially say goodbye to Steve Keim as being any sort of relevant as pertaining to the Arizona Cardinals. And it feels flippin' fantastic. Monti Ossenfort deserves his praise. I'll discuss why next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means it's time to hire, and you need to find a partner that works just as hard as you do. And that's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. Here's how it works. It's the post your job feature. Okay. It's a new feature on LinkedIn that can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double down your reach. to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high-quality hires. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions. The toxicity seems to be gone. And while the overlord, Michael Bidwell, will still be in the shadows, it seems that my metaphor of the wedding tent thing, for those who don't know, like I got a couple, and I have to get all these out because this is kind of how the Cardinals shield themselves from dysfunction. The wedding tent in inclement weather, if you're somewhere where it could be raining and they've got the outside setup and they've got the setup for the reception under this massive tent that, it weathers the storm and you're able to be inside as if nothing's happening. That's in the middle of State Farm Stadium. Monti Ossenfort's the tent. Michael Bidwell, State Farm Stadium. So the functionality of this organization goes from the tent down. Michael Bidwell is going to pop in and out. Allegations of, workplace misconduct, bigotry in some sense, things like that. All allegations, but, whatever. The Cardinals are in a much better spot than they were at the end of the 2022 season. I think that's obvious for most, except for, there's some pundits in Phoenix that are still defending Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim, which is super sweet. People have been writing in a long time, and I don't get it. I don't really pay attention to those people. Monti Ossenfort deserves his praise. There's a reason why I did this show like this. I saw how much dead cap money the Arizona Cardinals have going into 2025, and it's $7 million at the bottom of the NFL. And it puts things into perspective where you're looking at how much cap space there is. You're looking at how much malleability they have to improve the roster. Ask the New Orleans Saints how important dead cap money is and how important void years are. They're going to be in purgatory for years because of it. It started with the Drew Brees. What was it? 2 years, 60 million, 30 million. Garrett, he got it all in 1 year. He got the signing bonus was 30 mil 10 years ago, which was crazy. They've been doing it since then. Just kicking the can. The Cardinals don't have to do that. They're living in the now, baby. Which allows them some flexibility if they want to overextend a touch to be able to kick the can down the road in what's set to be a pretty clean cap for the next couple seasons. Now, Garrett Williams is going to get paid next offseason, and then it's going to be Paris, and it's going to be Marv, but it's these are good problems to have, man. These are really good problems to have, and that's also why I say this year and next year are the years to strike. If you want to go get a big-name dude, you can do it this year and next year. They didn't. They chose to, instead of getting one A+, which there weren't many, but one A+, you get two B+, in Dalvin Tomlinson and Josh Sweat. You have another bang-up draft, and then you're off to the races. You extend Budda Baker and James Conner, which was part of the elixir going from last season to this season. But the Cardinals are in such a good spot, and it took 3 offseasons, full offseasons, 3 full drafts to completely undo and rebuild what the dude I can't talk about anymore did. And it was all organic. Sure, signing free agency isn't organic. You rebuild, they were complements to. They were accents for. And sure, Tomlinson and Josh Sweat are going to be integral parts, Calais obviously as well. But when you look at this roster, you're now seeing draft classes from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and then the new guys that are coming in, Walter Nolan and Will Johnson and Jordan Burch specifically, highlighted. So what Monti Ossenfort did, if everything goes to plan, okay, I know I'm going to see in the comments, oh, yeah, but Kyler's still not the dude, so it doesn't matter. Not on a Monday. Can you give me a day? Things are set up all the ways that a GM could set up a roster for success for the next handful of seasons. He's done everything he can do. Paris Johnson Jr., left tackle for the next decade. Garrett Williams, slot corner for the next decade. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver 1 for the next decade. the little things that he's done. Rabbit, Dadrian Taylor-Demerson, like, can be your strong safety for the next decade. When I say decade lightly, because contracts do come into play, you're not going to be able to, extend everybody. All we know is from what we've seen so far, obviously. And that compounding interest as players get better at the NFL level, as rosters get better around them, they can do just their job instead of Paris Johnson Jr. maybe needing to, his rookie year play a little extra right guard if that wasn't happening, Chip for the right guard, left guard with Evan Brown last year. Like, when they're actually able to play just their positions, Budda Baker is a perfect example last season. He was just able to run free because the rest of the defense, irrespective of if there was a pass rush or not, was more stable than he'd experienced since being drafted. And this is that on steroids with what they've added on defense. I know that nothing's happened yet. And I know that Jonathan Gannon doesn't have a winning record yet as a head coach. I know that Monti Ossenfort doesn't have a winning record as a GM. I know that there are questions going into the season about the offense and if Drew Petzing's the dude at OC. I know all of those things. And also, this is the best situation for sustained success the Arizona Cardinals organization has had in the last 30 years. It's just a fact. Obviously, you can go back and say, well, we already know what happened with these batches of teams, so it's easier to relay that with the unknown of what's going to happen. But the boxes are checked for the Cardinals to be relevant for the next 4 or 5 years, if not beyond. And that took starting from square one. Like you were starting a new organization in NCAA football, and you were honest, you just started all with C minuses or whatever, because you didn't want to brave the way from starting with all F grades, because you didn't want, to have to pass it off to your kids because it took so long to get to relevancy. If you don't understand the reference, I apologize. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Could we see another familiar face come home? I don't know. We'll discuss the next Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Listen, DJ Humphries is out there. DJ Humphries has been injured twice out of the last 4 games he's played in the NFL. DJ Humphries has had visits in multiple spots and nobody's signed him. Okay, I know all of those facts. I also know that if DJ wants to come home, you give him $2 million for a year, I see zero downside to that. Zero downside. DJ Humphries was one of the most important cornerstones of the Arizona Cardinals locker room and on the field, left tackle, playing for a handful of years. Was he the best? No. Did he absolutely fall off the last year he was here? Yeah. That offensive line was also not great. And it was one of those oh no moments watching a vet and not a rookie. Like I always talk about the oh no moments of rookies, but with the vet, it's like, oh man, damn it, DJ. Now, if you have him on the roster and he signs for $2 million, comes home, not only is he going to be the locker room presence, just another one, but also say Jonah Williams isn't healthy all year, or per part of the year, say Kelvin Beachum, whatever it is, having another body, I don't think there's a downside really at all. And it's not going to be money. It's going to be $10. You sign up for $2 million for a year, make it like $1 million and then incentive base for the rest or whatever, so we can come home. Like, this isn't, Terrell Suggs, coming home because he went to ASU, stole $7 million and left. This wouldn't, they have the infrastructure in place to bring him back. And if he plays, 2 games or 3 games or 4 games or whatever, and he spot starts with injuries, I think the amount of depth that the Cardinals need on the offensive line, it's infinite. The amount of need that you have, it's, as many bodies as possible. He's a big dude. He can push some people. I don't know if you even bring him in during heavy packages, whatever it may be. Like, I don't see a downside. I think this would be more of a reach in the sense of you're bringing him back for the locker room stuff. You're bringing him back to, mentor loosely Paris Johnson Jr. But this money would be a lot more well spent than the amount of money that used to be paid to players to come in when they were well past what the amount that they got was deserved. So while, it's probably a non-story, but it just popped in my head because it's like, he's out there. He's 31, dude, and dudettes. He's a kid. Like, I thought he was 37. Like, he's still that surprised the heck out of me. He's only 31. So with that, it's like you bring him in for a year. Maybe he's not fully healthy this season. And then, he has some sort of resurgence. You give him 2 year, $3 million. You have him for a couple years. And you kind of see. I don't know. Now, this is interesting. They probably would have, but we don't know for sure. Obviously, it didn't happen. But, like, if they're not in the spot they're in at the end of the 2022 season, with Kyler and with all this stuff and the transition and everything, like, say he was with the Cardinals last year, and just go with me here, and he tore his ACL. Like, I don't think that they would just automatically move off from him. I think it was just a timing thing that was the 50-50, made it 51-49, see ya. And his performance wasn't great, obviously, when he was with the Cardinals last. But I think as part of a machine and not just a dude who has to carry the weight on the left side, I don't think it's necessarily, first of all, it wouldn't cause any waves. It's not going to affect anything negatively. He could be there as a backup, and he would be, you put him with Calais Campbell and Budda Baker and James Conner in this locker room. Come on. That part is without a doubt a no-brainer for me. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. Is Phoenix becoming an Arizona Cardinals city quicker than you think? I'll talk about that tomorrow. Did I already say, remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you then.